This could be a steal for the Edmonton Oilers as the organization may look to other ways in acquiring a goaltender for the future. All that and more today on Oilers Digest as the NHL schedule was also released, so we will break down some key matchups for the Oilers, homestands, road trips, the Olympic break, all that and more. Hope you're enjoying the day, and if you're also enjoying the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, as we are very, very close to 3,900 subscribers on the road to 4,000. So again, if you're enjoying the channel, enjoying the content, make sure you hit that button down below if you haven't done so already. Now, without further ado, folks, let's get right into the news of the day. Riding the waiver wire, yes, when it comes to the Oilers and acquiring a goaltender, and we're beating that dead horse over and over and over again, folks. I mean, it is the summer after all, but the Oilers, again, looking through other options to acquiring a goaltender. The entire league knows the Oilers need a goalie, so they will get bent over a barrel when it comes to making a trade. The Oilers will have to give far too much for a trade involving a goaltender. As you can see there, the John Gibson trade with the Detroit Red Wings and the Anaheim Ducks. I mean, Peter Mrazek, a 2027 second rounder and a 2026 fourth rounder, and the one that was made recently there with the Penguins and the Vancouver Canucks there, the Calder Cup playoff MVP Artur Shilovs for Chase Stillman in a 2027 fourth rounder. Now, many names waiver wise, for the Oilers have been thrown around. Nico Dawes there, not just on the waiver wire, but trade talks, lots of trade explorations the Oilers can do. But one name that has popped up from the Boston Bruins organization is one Mr. Michael DiPietro. They are formerly a Vancouver Canucks draft pick, traded to the Boston Bruins. Put up some fantastic numbers in Providence, and he could be lost to waivers from Jeff Merrick of Daily Faceoffs, as he had an outstanding season last year for the Providence Bruins. And as the goalie market hasn't completely dried up in the NHL, it's tough to make a trade right now, as we just saw with the two trades that I just showed on the screen. I would wonder about next year with the Boston Bruins in waivers. I don't think the Bruins are getting DiPietro down. If I'm the Edmonton Oilers, the minute I see Michael DiPietro on waivers, I am putting in a claim. That's exactly why the Canucks traded Artur Shilovs with a very log-jammed crease with Kevin Lankinen in Thatcher Demko. Artur Shilovs, despite fantastic numbers in the AHL and almost eliminating the Oilers in Game 7 of the 2024 second rounder, the Canucks couldn't afford to lose him for nothing, so they did get assets there. I feel like, if the Bruins were wanting to keep DiPietro in the equation there in the goalie conversation, they would have, traded a guy like Jonas Korpisalo by now. But still, lots of time. I mean, it is July 16th, and we still have 2 months before the start of the NHL season there. As I mentioned, fantastic numbers for DiPietro down in Providence there. 40 games played with a 2.05 goals to against average and a 927 save percentage with a record of 26-8 in 7. Also putting about 1.85 goals against average and a 928 save percentage in the Calder Cup playoffs there. You can see been all over the place. He was down in Maine and the ECHL with the Maine Mariners there, and again didn't really get an opportunity with the Canucks, so he was traded from the Canucks to the Bruins there. And as you can see, currently not on the Bruins roster, they're making a $812,000. Just signed an extension with the Bruins, which makes me think they might find a way to keep him in the organization. But time is taking for Don Sweeney in the Bruins to say, okay, who's staying and who is leaving there. As I mentioned, Jeremy Swayman with his new contract, year 2 of an 8-year deal there, and then Jonas Korpisalo, the veteran goaltender, making $3 million there, 31 years old. So it's either keeping the old man Jonas Korpisalo or the 26-year-old Michael DiPietro there. Now there are some pros and cons to Michael DiPietro on the Oilers. I mean, low risk, high reward. I just showed you his contract there. Ready to take the next step in the NHL. I mean, he's been in the AHL for so long. I mean, you can only marinate before he just gets sick and tired of, waiting for the call-up. And also would create some internal competition with Stuart Skinner in Calvin Picker. They're adding motivation to Stuart Skinner to pick up the slack and get his stuff together. I mean, we got the new goalie coach, Peter Aubrey, coming onto the scene here with the Oilers. So again, DiPietro, the fresh blood, I mean, is the same age as Stuart Skinner, but just, a new face, again, would create some competition there in the crease for the Oilers. As I mentioned, hasn't really gotten a fair shake in the NHL all 3 games with the Vancouver Canucks there. I mean, February 11, 2019, he was an emergency call-up there, sort of, forced into the scene, but giving up 7 goals to the once dangerous San Jose Sharks there, and then 8 minutes against the Vegas Golden Knights, giving up a goal, and then another loss to the St. Louis Blues there in January of 2022. So it's been some time since Michael DiPietro has seen some NHL time. So it could be his call for his next NHL start there. I showed you the pros, but there are also the cons. DiPietro, despite having great stats in the AHL, unproven in the NHL at 26 years old. And the second point, is he really an upgrade on Calvin Pickard? I mean, Calvin Pickard, sure, he's not the perfect goaltender, but we've seen what he can do, especially in the playoffs. I mean, Stanley Cup final aside there. I mean, the Oilers were awful that entire game in game number 5, and Calvin Pickard has saved the Oilers bacon 2 years in a row there. Again, not the sexiest stats, but well loved in the room there. And I mean, the guy's got a street hockey goaltending style. What's not to love about that? The third point, a team in their cup window hoping the waiver wire saves them with goaltending is a little worrisome there. I mean, the Oilers, sure, their goaltending inconsistent, but again, hoping that the waiver wire saves them, that just, screams desperation in my eyes. And then, with the last 2 points here, another team in need of a goalie ahead of Edmonton could claim him, and Boston could waive Jonas Korpisalo instead, and that is not an upgrade on either Pickard or Stuart Skinner there. So the Oilers could just, start the season with Pickard in Skinner and just wait, hope for a Hail Mary at the trade deadline for Stan Bowman to finally do something. Stan Bowman not revealing all of his cards, on July 1st, and, explored goalie options, but, didn't go too hard on that front there. But again, the entire league knows the Oilers need a goaltender there. So Stan Bowman, being very, very patient. But as I mentioned, Michael DiPietro, sure, he could be ready at the NHL level, but his game, still some flaws in it from puckoffhockey.com. They're mostly centered around the Boston Bruins organization. Said, yes, DiPietro has carved out an excellent career in the AHL and has become one of the best at that level. He's played over 300 games and posted a 175, 96 in 21 record. Despite his accomplishments, his game still presents massive inconsistencies in holes that would be hammered home at the next level. He still has trouble tracking the puck, which sometimes affects his lateral movement, a big problem also with Stuart Skinner, resulting from difficulty reading the play as it unfolds. He often gets beat on his glove side, showing weakness there, and as the shot quality increases going to the NHL level, so will the frequency at which he allows goals. So, for Michael DiPietro at 26 years old, I mean, he's still got some AHL marinating to do at that level. So for the Oilers, again, sure, low risk, high reward, but at that point, the Oilers, where they are at their cup window, I think they would just be better off waiting for, a better option to appear. But enough about that. I mean, goalie. I mean, I've been hammering home goalies all spring, in summer long here. Let's take a look at some good news, some very, very exciting news, folks. Mark your calendars as the 2025-26 NHL schedule has been dropped this afternoon. I mean, lots of exciting matchups here as the Oilers will begin the season with the Battle of Alberta on October 8th at Rogers Place there to launch this year's NHL schedule there. The first of 4 between the Oilers in Flames there, October 8th, and then the Oilers will play the Flames going into Christmas and then coming out of the Christmas break on December 23rd and December 27th before the final game February 4th at the Scotiabank Saddle Dome there. The Oilers will not only open up the season against the Flames, but the first Saturday night game will be against the Vancouver Canucks, also at Rogers Place there. The longest road trip of the season will be 7 games there: Philadelphia, Columbus, Carolina, Buffalo, Washington, Tampa Bay, and then the first meeting between the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers on November 22nd there. And the longest homestand will be 8 games between St. Louis, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Washington also. I mean, the longest road trip and the longest homestand both include the Washington Capitals there, and then the Anaheim Ducks, the San Jose Sharks, and the Minnesota Wild come to town before the Oilers wrap up that homestand with a meeting against Austin Matthews in the Toronto Maple Leafs before going to Calgary for one game before the Oilers are off for 2.5 weeks for the Milan Olympic break there before they head back out on the road against the Anaheim Ducks, doing that California road swing. And the Oilers will end the season with a 2-game homestand between Nathan MacKinnon in the Colorado Avalanche and then Quinn Hughes in the Vancouver Canucks. So exciting times are ahead, folks. It's the middle of July, but we are all waiting for the start of the NHL season. I mean, it's an Olympic year. That's always very exciting to see Connor McDavid represent the Oilers on the international stage. Not just him, but, Mattias Ekholm for Sweden, hopefully Leon Draisaitl for Germany, hopefully Bouchard and Hyman get named to the Olympic roster. I mean, knock on wood that happens, folks. But again, very, very exciting there, and I hope to make it out to Edmonton for a few games this year to meet some of you in oil country and be amongst my people once again. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you all have to say about the Michael DiPietro situation. Should the Oilers put in a claim? Should they make a trade, before, the Bruins do anything drastic there, so to get the jump on things? I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all. But again, the Oilers in a low-risk, high-reward situation. But again, it could be very, very troublesome if DiPietro does not work out, and you're stuck with Skinner and DiPietro, two inconsistent goalies, when Connor McDavid is in a contract year if anything doesn't get wrapped up before the start of the season. But very curious to see what you all have to say down in the comments. And another question: which game are you looking forward to most this year? Again, lots of different answers I am anticipating, but enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, folks. Take care. I'm Matt.